Welcome, everybody, and hello. Thank you so much for tuning in here to Spirit Matters, your daily Bhakti Center podcast. I am Dayal, and I'm here with Achyuta Gopi. Normally, our good friend Kishore Chandra is with us, but he's got a little sinus today, not feeling well, so he's dipping out. Either that or he's just lying and doesn't want to be here. One of the two. But I'm going to take the benefit of the doubt. Trust him. Sinuses are flaring up. So it's just us two today. And we've been reading from the Journey Within this week. So we're going to keep that rolling. Achyuta said you had a passage. But how are you doing first and foremost, Achyuta?
I'm doing well. As a person
Doing
who
well.
also has like many sinus issues, I can totally I empathize, I sympathize, all of the above.
All of the above. Beautiful. Oops. Okay. So what do we got? What do we got on tap? What are we reading?
So this is page 113, a section called See the World with Compassion, the highest expression of Dharma.
Ooh, I could use a little bit of that.
Yeah, so nice.
See the world with compassion, the highest expression of Dharma. If you're following along, it's page 113 from The Journey Within by Radhanath Swami. Ooh, and there's a quote from the Bhagavad Purana.
Hmm. We like our Bhagavad Purana.
We love our Bhagavad Purana.
It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary inconvenience because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshiping the Supreme Soul who is present in everyone's heart. Bhagavad Purana, 8th canto, 7th chapter, 44th verse. Then Maharaj continues. Our spiritual progress is directly connected to how we help others make progress. In an age when it seems impossible to disconnect from matter, many holy people strive to detach themselves from their role playing, called in Sanskrit ahankar, or false ego, simply to be better able to give themselves to help others. The Yoga Sutras of Patanjali call this ahimsa, nonviolence, which means more than just not harming other beings. It also means to act positively, to be kind, to love others, to want their spiritual and material well-being, to be compassionate. If we can sacrifice even a part of our comforts to show compassion to others, we enrich our lives. The most essential form of service to others is to enlighten them with the joy of realizing their true self. My spiritual teacher touched many people's hearts in this way by his personal example. In 1965, at the age of 69, Prabhupada left India to bring the teachings of bhakti to the West. He was given a free ticket on a weather-beaten cargo ship that sailed for 38 days from Calcutta to New York. While crossing the Arabian Sea, he suffered severe sickness and 2 heart attacks. There were no doctors or medical facilities on board. When he arrived on U.S. shores, he thanked the Lord for seeing him through the journey and wrote in a prayer, "As your puppet, my Lord, make me dance as you want me to dance." When he arrived in New York, he was penniless and alone. He lived in the Bowery in New York City, which at that time was occupied by homeless people, beaten down into lives of alcoholism, drug addiction, and crime. It's not so different.
Hmm.
While there, he was robbed, evicted, and physically threatened. Why did a scholarly saint from India leave his home in a beautiful holy place for this? It's because even from India, he felt our suffering. He endured these hardships so he could share the gift of spiritual love with us. Such compassion, according to the Bhagavad Purana and almost all other scriptures, is the highest expression of Dharma. This is especially true when compassion extends, according to one's ability, beyond service to humanity and includes all living beings who may love life just as we do.
Let's hear it, Achyuta. Let's hear your reasoning for choosing this and what's flowing from you.
Well, first and foremost, that verse from Bhagavad Purana comes at a very pivotal moment when Lord Shiva is thinking about undertaking
Mm,
something extreme, something that
mm,
could do him harm for the good of the entire creation.
mm,
And then I was thinking about Prahlad Maharaj because I was just giving a lecture on Prahlad Maharaj, and the festival of Nrsingadev's appearance day is coming up this weekend.
mm,
Prahlad Maharaj is a 5-year-old boy saint king who is saved from many atrocious, like, you know, you have like the 1,000 ways to die. His father tried to kill him several hundreds of ways, and he was saved.
mm,
And he continues to take on the burden that, but there are people out there who have no idea that Krishna is their friend. And he would constantly just preach. And all of those together remind me of this example of Srila Prabhupada leaving a holy place. Like, he's set. If Srila Prabhupada was just thinking about himself, he's got it made. He didn't have to do anything else. He had dedicated his life to Krishna. He was already living in a holy place, already deep in bhakti. But because he felt the sufferings of others, because he held up the principles of what his own guru wanted over his own personal bodily comfort, he traveled 39 days on a cargo ship with no medical facilities, having health crises, plural. And I was just thinking about this idea of ahimsa and nonviolence and how eager we are to champion these causes. But what does that really mean? It's more than just like, I went vegan for a month, so it was fine. It's more than just, oh, but look at these, look at the cows. It is look at the cows, but also look at the people. And there was a purport from Bhagavad Gita that I was just reading yesterday, and it was speaking about the fact that Krishna is within every living entity's hearts. And so it is so important for us, Srila Prabhupada was saying, to not simply see there's a deity in the temple that deserves my respect, but each temple is a heart. Each heart is a temple that deserves my respect. So when we are having conversations with one another, when we're talking with one another, when we are serving one another, it's so important for us to remember that each heart is a temple that deserves my respect. Maybe we don't always agree, that's fine, but each heart is a temple. And the opening line, our spiritual progress is directly connected to how we help others make progress.
mm,
That for me is super important because, yes, this is a solo journey, but we have to be careful about getting caught up in the solo journey and thinking it is just us. My spiritual progress depends on just me, just my spiritual connection.
mm. I really appreciate that a lot because I think that sometimes spirituality can be used as an excuse to shun the world or shy away from the world or neglect our relationships in this idea of detachment that, I'm above everything, I don't care about everything, and we get to this yeah, it can be used as that excuse, but it's something that's quite universal and connects our relationships with others. The question I had that came up was, how do you relate that principle are connected to individual capacity? Because I think so many of us are in a space where, like, I'm going through so much. The idea of also worrying about others or having to care for others or extend myself beyond to others, like there's this like this compassion fatigue, or there's this sense of burning out or reaching my limits, or like I'm you know I'm already in such an empty cup place. How am I now supposed to go and be there for others? And we can sometimes take it to the other extreme of people pleasing and just like neglecting our own needs in order to try to be there for others, or solving other people's problems, or taking other people's problems on as our own, etc. So how do we, and I love the way that you mentioned about maintaining respect, because it seems that regardless of our capacity, whether it's a lot or a little, it's the mood that we have in our hearts of recognizing other people as individual spirit souls, and that at the very minimum maintaining respect. And so I just wanted to kind of tease out from you more and ask that question about how does this idea of this initial line, our spiritual progress is directly connected to how we help others make progress. and how we approach that, being aware of our own capacities at the same time.
Yeah, I me personally, there is an everyday struggle that goes with how do I take care of myself? How do I also help other people?
Yeah,
Because I
exactly.
am in a bit of a position where I feel as though it is part of my spiritual journey to at least help other people. And so in thinking about that, I we should never discount the power of prayer.
Hmm.
Sometimes we really think, "Oh, all I can do is pray." There are big world wars happening and things happening and we think all I can do is pray. That is the
Hmm.
most. Prayer is so incredibly powerful, both for ourselves and for others.
Hmm.
And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj and so many of our Vedic acharyas, they often remind us what we pray for other people often boomerangs back into our lives.
Hmm.
So it's important how we use our power of prayer. Because sometimes, it's like, yeah, I'll pray for you. I'll pray that you get a flat tire and may you get a lice infestation in both your armpit hairs and like all of the things. But it's so important to remember that.
That's a new prayer some of us are going to take
Okay.
with us. Make sure you jot that one down. Jeffrey was not expecting that one. He's writing it down in the moment. He's got a few people that he wants to send
Oh,
that to. Airmail.
and so, sometimes I would think to myself, like you said, I'm in such a place where I feel so depleted. What am I supposed to do? I can't go out and feed the homeless every day. It's just too much. As a person who is quite empathetic, I will draw in all of the emotions of everybody else and not release them. And so even thinking in that regard, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to properly serve even empathetically? Even as a person who is absorbing all of these emotions. And then I had to realize, wait, who am I? I'm one small jiva, one small living entity. But I know somebody who can handle all of this. I know someone who can carry all that we lack and preserve all that we have. And so maybe, as Srila Prabhupada even was, maybe my purpose, my function is to just be a conduit. And in prayer, maybe my greatest attribute, maybe the greatest thing I can bring to the table is simply to be a conduit where I hear about all of these things and maybe I don't have the power to do actively in the most 3D sense of the word. Maybe I don't have the power to do something about it in that moment, but I can offer prayers. I can take all of these emotions and say, "Oh my Lord, not only is everybody feeling this, but I'm feeling depleted. And now I offer all of that to you.
Hmm.
I give that to you because you're the only person I know strong enough to shoulder it all."
Yeah, and I love, it's so funny. We're just like packing all these things, and then I read back to the book. I'm like, oh, that's the exact next line that he wrote. And so this next line that he wrote right after the second line is, I mean, the first one was, our spiritual progress is directly connected to how we help others make progress. Then we asked the question, well, like, how do I then relate that to my capacity or my inability to do so much? And you were saying, well, we have to realize it's not us doing it on our own, and that we're actually conduits for higher spiritual energy that can flow through us, and not feeling like it's me doing it, but actually like I'm sort of petitioning for a divine hand to reach in and address the situation. In the next line, he says, in an age where it seems impossible to disconnect from matter, many holy people strive to detach themselves from their role playing, called in Sanskrit ahankar, a false ego, which ahankar literally means I am the doer, I am the doer. So when I think I'm an engineer, I am a man, I am a boss, I am a whatever, that's ahankar. Like I am this role that I play. So it says simply to be better able to give themselves to help others. So it's actually saying to disconnect from the idea that I am the role that I play. And I think that sometimes when we think of compassion, we think ourselves, okay, now I'm the caregiver, I'm
Yeah.
the caretaker, I'm the remover of stress, I am the, the
We have
space holder.
savior complex, you
I
know?
am the savior complex. Yeah, and it becomes this tremendous burden that we carry, and it does place us. I mean, Martha shared it really beautifully here in the chat. She says, "Sometimes I feel I would very much share my experiences, my spiritual growth with others, but at the same time, I rethink it just because I don't feel ready nor entitled to bring others into a space I am only now learning to bring into my own life. This dilemma is present often, and I wonder what to do." And so when we think that helping others or being there for others or sharing spirituality, I'm not saying this is what she's saying in the chat, but sometimes it naturally feels like I'm putting myself in a position above. And I love once there were Ekavirya Prabhu and Brajalila living in Gitanagari. They were mentioning once they were speaking to our mentorship team here at the Bhakti Center once, and we have a mentorship program, people that it's like a care team of individual counselors that meet with people to support them in their spiritual life. And he said that it's very, even the language that we use, like, we're not here to pick people up, we're here to help lift people up. And he used it even like physically, the language, like picking somebody up means I'm coming in from above, and I'm picking you up, like I'm in a superior position and I'm picking you up, as opposed to lifting up means I get below. I actually see myself in a lower position, and from above, from below, I'm actually trying to lift you up above me. I'm trying to lift you up. And so the idea of like helping others doesn't mean that I'm now putting myself in a superior position. I know more, I have more, etc. I'm just trying to provide that lifeline and connecting you to something that I have the opportunity to be connected to. And I think that when we get caught in the trap of, now I've given myself another role, I'm the caretaker, I'm the problem solver, I'm the savior, I'm the whatever it may be, that's just another role that's starting to bind us down. And we see this in some of the most dynamic and amazing uh, game changers throughout history: Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Gandhi. It's like this, almost kind of like this. It's this interesting dichotomy between like extraordinary empowerment and confidence, and almost continuous like self-doubt and uncertainty. You read the prayers of Mother Teresa. You listen to some of the speeches. One of Martin Luther King Jr.'s most powerful speeches, "A Knock at Midnight," he talks about waking up in the middle of the night and like
Mm.
feeling completely unsure of himself. And when he constantly feels unsure, like it wasn't like, I'm on a mission, I'm going to crush it. It was like, am I doing the right thing? Is this successful? I'm getting backlash even from people in my own community. And it was like this constant having to reconnect himself to his spiritual purpose, you know? And, you hear this, Gandhi would go through the same thing. And it's this sense of like, whenever I think I got this, that's when we become, I think, in a very fragile position, and that leads to burnout. That leads to pushing ourselves beyond our capacity. And I think that we are meant to constantly. We look at some people read the letters of Mother Teresa and get confused, or people read, they get confused and they think, no, actually, she's just going deeper into her
Mm.
connection.
Mm-hmm.
That sense of helplessness pulling us deeper into our spiritual dependence and connection, which is the greatest place of empowerment.
And conversely, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said once that when your mission like far exceeds your ability, and yet you
Mm,
still proceed on with the mission with faith, that's when empowerment happens.
mm,
So I think it's so important for us to realize that the mission is going to exceed our ability. That it's
mm,
just part of what it's going to do. It's always going to far exceed our ability. But
mm.
if we continue on with that faith and determination, that's when empowerment occurs. So yes,
Yeah,
it's natural to see all of these game changers and they feel completely unworthy. It's because the mission is always far exceeding our own limited jiva like abilities. But what they
yeah.
did was they, like you said, they went deeper and they continued on in faith. And
Mm,
I mean, look at Jesus. Jesus is such a wonderfully prime example. Um, and This is a person who could have said, "Do you know who I am?" And instead constantly said, "No, no, no. I'm the son of God." Like, he wasn't trying to be on a different level than all of the other people. Like, and
Mm,
guess what? You too can become this enlightened. He's like, just follow my path. Just follow what I'm doing. And as for, not feeling almost worthy, as for feeling unworthy, it's as simple as, you ever get a really good recipe and you've only made it one time, but you're like, "Oh my God, but this was so good and it was such a good recipe." And you tell all your friends about it. Do you ever think, "I'm not really qualified to tell my friends about this recipe. I'm not really
mm,
qualified to tell my friends who don't know about a mango about a mango." It's like, "No, it's a fruit. I'm just telling you what I've tasted." That's what every spiritual
mm.
person is doing. They're just telling you what they've tasted.
It's not me, it's the minimalist baker. She's the one who did all the work.
Exactly. It's not me, it's the mango. The mango tastes sweet regardless. I'm just telling you what I've found. In the months of like June, July, August, there's this fruit, and it's really, really good. And we get caught up in, but which tree was this fruit on? Well, what about that other tree? Like, they said there was another fruit on another tree. Like, we get caught up
Mm,
in the way and the different names of spirituality and these different trees, but the fruit is still just as sweet. And all these spiritual people are doing is just compassionately telling us, "Oh my God, I just tasted the best thing. I just want you to taste it."
mm. I was thinking of just Trevor Hall has that beautiful song Unity, and I think the idea between philosophy and love, and he says, "I don't want to taste the leaves. I don't want to count the leaves of the mango tree. I just want to taste its sweetness." And sometimes we get so caught up in philosophy and talk, and it's just like I just want to experience the love of God rather than all of these. At a certain point, it's just like, do you want to just experience what's being offered here? And so Jeff said the mango tastes sweet even if I'm unqualified to describe its flavor.
Hmm.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap it back up into the idea of, you were mentioning prayer, I think a lot of this um it sort of determines and guides the quality of our prayer, because I think prayer isn't so much. Sometimes I think we get afraid to pray because I don't want to get disappointed. Like, I don't want to pray for something that I know is not going to come true. And sometimes we look at prayer as like this lucky rabbit foot that we keep in our bead bag or our spiritual pocket. And it's like, I pray for X, Y, and Z, or I prayed for something and it didn't happen. I prayed for God to save my sick partner. I prayed for God to give me that job. I prayed for God to do something and it didn't happen. And we kind of, I think, miss the point of it altogether. That so much of prayer is the transformation of heart internally, where it's not just, "God, please make this happen." It's also a, "God, please illuminate within me the role you want me to play in your divine plan." And fortify that inner connection that gives me the clarity to see it, the strength to follow through with it, the acceptance to embrace it. And it really becomes this like opportunity of divine connection. And so I think also just this sense of, when we look at, back to what you read, see the world with compassion, the highest expression of Dharma. The first is just to see it with compassion, for our hearts to go out to and feel for what's going on in the world, whether it be the war on the other side of the world or just something happening right in our own neighborhood, right in our family, right in front of me. And to feel that compassion, and then to invite a divine higher power into that situation, and then to use the opportunity of union through prayer
Mm.
to see and to find my place in it. And to not take on the role that I'm the savior, I'm the problem solver. I got to figure this out somewhere. Now I got all these problems on my head. But it's actually like, okay, like, what role do I play? And we talked a little bit about this earlier, like also recognizing my limited capacity. I can't do everything. I don't have an unlimited
Supposed to.
capacity.
Yeah.
And allow that to humble you. Allow that to humble you, and allow that to appreciate the limited capacity that we have, along with the unlimited capacity of a divine higher power. And so,
I feel like I need a bell. I need to get like a bell, because there's like all these, like, whenever fine points get made, I'm always like, ding.
ding, 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 ding,
Like, I
ding,
need
ding,
a
ding, ding,
bell
ding.
so that I can just like bing.
Turn it into a game show.
Yeah.
Ding. We should give points for the points that we make. That was worth, and then we should add it up at the end. We should get somebody. We should get Pasha to keep a record. You know, they have like those like 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
somebody gives a dive, and at the end of it,
Such a so many good
we
points.
tally up all the points that we had.
You made so many good points. And I feel like, one that really, that it like the arrow went straight in, it's like using this opportunity of union through prayer. If that does not make you excited
Mm,
to get off of this podcast and go pray, I don't know what will. Like, it's like you get invited to the best meeting, best banquet, best feast. It's like, I'm going to use
mm,
this opportunity of tasting this mango to pray and hope that other people get to taste it too. Like, it's
mm,
just, it's such a good way of looking at it. And I have actually changed my prayers. On occasion, I will pray for specific things for myself and for others. And recently, even within the past year and a half, I've changed it to I pray that this person's heart is fortified. I
mm,
pray that this person always feels comforted, held, safe,
mm.
connected. No matter what you do, Krishna, no matter what the outcome is, let the waiting not be harsh. Let it be a sweetness. And that's usually my prayer now for myself and other people.
Ding 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 ding
Right? We
ding.
need a bell.
We need a bell. Um, we got the next best thing. We got Kimberly, who's going to
Okay.
share with us a few takeaways. She's our takeawayer. Kimberly, what are some of the takeaways we got first? And if anybody else has any takeaways that they want to write in the chat, we would love to hear your phrases, your takeaway, a word, something that you're going to use to capture something and take it away with you. We'll read them out. So, what do you got for us, Kimberly?
I think I got some ding 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 points.
Ding, ding, ding points. Okay, Pasha, get your scorecard ready.
Okay. So when we are serving each other, it's important to remember that each heart is a temple with Krishna residing there. We all have limited capacity and can't do everything. Our purpose and function is to be a conduit, an instrument of divinity. Even if we are feeling depleted, we can still pray because Krishna can carry all that we lack and preserve what we have. We are here not to just pick people up, but here to lift people up. And lastly, go taste the mangoes.
Go taste them. We should have a mango eating contest in the next episode. Pasha gave 3 10s, 10, 10, 10. I don't. And then Kimberly. Oh, okay. Wow. There's a lot of scorecards going on over there.
This chat's blowing up. Okay, people are happy about
We're
this one.
happy. Achuta, what are you walking away with? What's your takeaway?
Um, to use the opportunity of prayer as a place of union, but also as a place where like everybody's united, everybody gets to be there. It's kind of great,
Mm,
and still, my relationship can be specific and special and unique. I know I
mm.
definitely want mango now.
Lane says, I want mango.
It's a good day for mango.
Pasha says, I also have 2 really juicy mangoes I will eat today since I can't eat grains. Interesting that Pasha has 2 mangoes and she's going to eat both of them, even
And
though
we're
she
just talking
lives with
about the
somebody
compassion,
else,
okay?
even though there's another person that it would make sense for divvy that up in a certain way. I'm going to eat 2. Okay. Got it. I'm going to let you guys work that one out.
I mean, like usually marriage promises have like
And,
what's mine is yours and
and
yours
Lane's
is
like, I
mine.
bought them. Got it. Okay, Lane. That's an opportunity for you to go deeper into your prayer and your humility. My takeaway is, yeah, just this idea of just really using prayer as an opportunity for me to continuously ask the question, where where can I be best placed? You know, it was interesting. I had I'll share, this is a longer takeaway than I should give, but I last Thursday in Kirtan, I was having a lot of like, every now and then I'll get like these nudges internally from Krishna, like something that he's trying to tell me. and it often comes in a kirtan. And I've been traveling a lot this year, and more so than I would want to. And part of me's on this track of life of like teaching and sharing and leading retreats and etc. Um, and then when I was there in the kirtan, a few times I was having a conversation with a few people, and I was just asking people how they're doing, and just like the floodgates were opening of just like stuff that people are going through just here in our community. And it was like, whoa. And I was reflecting on my own position in a leadership position in our community. And I was just thinking, like, more than being like a dynamic teacher and a coach and like all these things of reaching out, like, I just need to be here for people. Like, and there was this phrase, this mantra was coming in through the kirtan, this little nudge and turn. It's like, do less so that I can be more present. And it was really for me a thought of like, okay, Christian, like, this is where you want me to be right now. Like, I can't do everything, but it's almost kind of like your job right now is just to be here in New York, be in this community, and just be present for more people. um and so that relates to this takeaway of prayer of like, where do you, because the hard thing about that for me is like, well, I'm missing out on the opportunities. Well, like, I gotta blow up my social media, and I gotta make courses, and I gotta do this and that, and not miss the opportunities and engage with people, etc. And I'm just thinking, like, maybe that's not where Krishna wants me to be right now. Maybe Krishna wants me to be just here and just build a community and be present. And then maybe a few years from now that will change, you know. But right now, and so it's just kind of like that tussle in the heart, and all the counter arguments I had. What about this? What about this? Oh, maybe I could do all of it. And so there's this, and I'm going way over time here. I'm sorry
I
if
love
somebody
it.
if somebody else were doing this, I would have cut them off by now. But there's this in human design. I don't know a lot about human design. Do you know human design, Achyuta? Human design is like it's based off astrology, so it's not like you have a conversation and
Heard
like,
of it, and that's
and
about the
so and so in human design there's these 4 types, or 4 or 5 types. And so anyways, I'm a manifesting generator, which is just like high power, do a lot. And there's this meme with the boss from The Office, and it's saying that the quote is, when you tell a manifesting generator that they'll never get anywhere in life if they don't finish what they started. And it has a meme of the guy saying, you have no idea how high I can fly. And so this idea to Christian, like, Christian, you have no idea how many things I can do at once.
right.
Like, I can do it all. And Christian's just like, no, you can't. And so I just think this idea of, for me, rolling it back to the takeaway of really making prayer a place of, Krishna, where do you want me to be? And it may not be where my ego wants to be. It may not be where I think culture, society is pushing me to be, or wherever, but it's just like, and living with that contentment, having that be my antidote to FOMO, or to the anxiety of hustle and making it happen, of like, Krishna, where do you want me to be? And how do you want me to address what's going on? And maybe somebody else, they're supposed to be doing this and they're supposed to be doing that, but I'm meant to be just right here, right now. And that's not forever, but that may change at some point. That may change tomorrow. It may change next week. And it becomes that constant, like Mother Teresa or Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. We may not be on that level, but that same quality of prayer of just like, what do you want me to be? Where do you want me to be? So my takeaway is just kind of from you mentioning that quality of prayer, and trying to settle deeper into that meditation and that connection on a moment-to-moment basis.
I think that was so beautiful. And just like what you mentioned was like, it might not be exactly where my ego feels like I want to be. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like not as glamorous. But there's finding a contentment in that, in where we are. And just last night before I went to sleep, I I said to myself, I was like, look, and right now we put all the other things down. Right now, this moment is perfect. I had chanted japa. I had remembered Krishna. I was like, I had, prayed for other people, taking care of family, whatever. I was like, this moment right now is perfect because I remembered Krishna. And if I don't get any more moments beside this, if I go to sleep and I don't have any more moments, this was perfect.
Yeah.
It is beautiful to be right here in this moment.
Speaking of being present in the moment, Jeffrey put a YouTube link in the chat and I clicked it and then some audio started coming. I wanted to click it because I didn't want it to go away when we close the thing. It was "You're doing too much, do less." So I'm gonna watch it, Jeff. But thank you. I've been trying to really end us on time at 9:30, and I barreled over. And then you had a beautiful point here, and I feel like we can keep going. But that's the time we have today. Love you guys so much, Pasha. If you're a manifesting generator too, we should connect and do something big together.
Now I got to figure out what I am. What's my design type?
It's astrological. You can plug it in. You can plug it in. Rasika's got an app. Rasika's got an app. You can figure it out. Kishore's a projector, which is not a bad thing. We think projector, like you're just projecting.
No. I get it. I totally hear. I gotta go figure it out. I'm gonna go get it.
My Human Design is a great. Jenna Zoe is a person who has some good content. I'll connect you guys. Anyways, love you guys. Love you so much. Please be well. Take care. Tell somebody that you love them. Take care of yourself. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.